Snow vacation, beach vacation. Beach vacation or snow vacation? Should I take a snow vacation or a beach vacation? Oh, who am I kidding? I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to sit in my room and order room service anyway.
Do you live, eat, and sleep the hotel industry? Looking to brush up on your game? You've come to the right place. Welcome to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the No Vacancy podcast with me, your host, Glenn Hausman. I'm super duper excited to have each and every one of you here with me today. And gotta tell you, this is an exciting week for me because the responses that we've been getting to our amazing contest in New Orleans has really just been off the charts. And if you guys haven't had a chance to enter it, well, we're going to be talking about New Orleans today. And if you don't win the contest, how you could go and still enjoy New Orleans Jazz Fest today, and what makes New Orleans such an incredible, awesome, amazing city. Now, I haven't been there in way too long, so I'm super excited to be able to have the opportunity to go back down there, especially for Jazz Fest, something I've been wanting to go to for many years as it is. So let's get this show started right away. Today we've got a trio of guests that are on the line. They're going to be sharing their stories about New Orleans and this great Mista Big Stuff package that's out there, and that's Mr. Mark Wilson, who runs the Hotel Jung, that's participating in this, Mr. Aaron Dirks, and Mr. Jason Cronen of Joieful. Gentlemen, great to have all of you on board today.
Great to be here. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Thanks, Glenn.
So this is exciting. All right, so the only thing that is annoying me about all of this is you guys are in New Orleans, and I'm stuck up here in New York. I don't have any beignets. I don't have any po' boys. I got nothing good New Orleans-wise up in my life, and you guys are just all steeped in it, so I'm very sad about that, gentlemen.
So what can we do about that, Glenn?
Well, I know what I'm going to do about it.
We have packages available we can sell you.
Yeah, you sure do. All right, first of all, I want to talk about how freaking awesome New Orleans is and why I like that city so much, and then we can get into some of the other stuff. What I think is great about New Orleans is such a cool city because it's just got such incredible, awesome culture about it. It's American, but it's French, but it's got Caribbean and African influences all in it. What a great place to be. So it's anything but a traditional American city. How awesome is it for you guys to be living down there?
Well, Glenn, this is Aaron. We're talking to you on the Friday before Fat Tuesday, called the Mardi Gras here in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
Sitting in another crown jewel in the French Quarter with bustles of millions of people around us and fighting the urge to join the fray. This is what we consider almost a normal weekend in some cases.
Wait a minute. Who's fighting the urge? I just gave out beads to my entire staff. Everybody's involved in this.
Fair point.
Yeah, it's a good point.
We're not fighting.
I had the opportunity to be down there one year for New Year's Eve, and what a great experience that was. I can't imagine what it must be like being down there for Mardi Gras. I've always avoided it during Mardi Gras because I thought it'd be just too crowded for me. But I think I've probably made a critical error in that decision in my life.
Well, you just let us know when you need the VIP experience, and Joieful and the Jung will be happy to take care of it.
Well, speaking of VIP experiences, I'm very excited that we've all partnered up in this great contest that's out there. But for those of you unlucky enough to win, but still want to be able to go and experience New Orleans and Jazz Fest and the Rolling Stones in particular, you folks have all teamed up to put together the Mr. Big Stuff package to help people get an incredible VIP experience while down there. Yes?
Yes, Glenn. Let me tell you about this. So we started Joieful just over 3 years ago in an effort to unlock special jewels in one of the world's most special of cities. So we built a technology and service business around that. And we found the city's newest luxury jewel in the lodging company partner, the Jung Hotel and Residences, which is the city's most beautiful renovation and product in the lodging space in the recent past. And then we paired that with New Orleans' penultimate experience for 2019, which is the 50th anniversary of the Jazz and Heritage Festival, that is headlined by the Rolling Stones, on the second weekend, but the lineup is incredible, and we're super excited to bring this exclusive, only left in the world travel package.
That's pretty insane that it's the only one left in the world. But before we get into the experience itself, I'm curious. I really think that what Joieful is doing follows very much on the consumer trends that we're seeing out there. People are very interested in more of that those experiences. They're interested in more of personalization. They're interested more in a overall VIP type of experience wherever they go. And it sounds like you're using technology in a clever way to match up with where societal trends are heading in the terms of personalization and the VIP experience to really help people craft experiences in New Orleans and some other places as well that they probably wouldn't have been able to put together on their own. Isn't that right, guys?
Yeah, that's right, Glenn. We are what we call a technology business, but it's really a service enhanced technology business. So we leverage the best parts of geolocation and product delivery to customize solutions for consumers. However, we don't abandon the value of the human being. And when a traveler comes to any destination, they want to be immersed. They want to have unique and authentic experiences, not just cookie cutter off the shelf, what you could buy.
I think you mean beignet cutter. Off the shelf.
Beignet.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. So authentic, immersive, hyper local, but delivered through technology with great service partners. That's what we're about.
Speaking of great service partners, Mark, you're over there at the Hotel Jung, which is an interesting property because you're very cleverly taking the historic heritage part of your property and have brought it into the 21st century as well with some of the services and amenities and the comfort that you have over there. Tell me a little bit about the experience that you're having at the Hotel Jung and how it plays into today's customer trends.
Well, I'll tell you, you might have noticed that Aaron had a hard time speaking about the hotel. It left him speechless, but, it's a historic property that dates back into the 1920s. That experienced $145 million restoration. It was one of the hotels that had been left unopened after Hurricane Katrina. So this investment was a really big deal for the city, and it really anchors the Upper Canal streetcar line. So we're close to all the, I hate to say it, but haunted tours are big now. So cemetery tours are big. So we're near the cemeteries, but we're also really right adjacent to all the action off that streetcar line, which includes all the great restaurants on Canal Street, as well as the French Quarter. So the hotel, truthfully has got a sense of arrival that it really wows our guests. It's beautiful. It's very modern and chic, and it may be a historic building on the outside, but inside it's very, very contemporary. That's a rhyme almost. And but I've got a great staff. Everybody's local. Everybody gets what we're all about, which is the leisure traveler. And we have some wonderful food and beverage offerings and a pool area that, is to die for. So we're really excited to partner with Joieful because our asset has some of the nicest guest rooms in the city. And anybody who's here for a length of stay, so to speak, that we're offering, which is 4 or 5 nights, is really going to find themselves very comfortable and well taken care of at the Jung in what is truly an American masterpiece of restoration.
Excellent. I love when you can celebrate the historic while also successfully bringing in a lot of those modern amenities. Those are, I think, my favorite types of properties because they're so rooted in a sense of place. And Aaron used the word before, authentic. I think it really helps connect the traveler much more meaningfully to the destination in which the hotel is located. In this case, the incredible city of New Orleans. So, Mark, we're on the cusp here of, of a great, insane weekend with Fat Tuesday coming up. Are you prepared? What's the atmosphere like at the hotel right now?
Well, we're prepared. The atmosphere is festive. Today's a huge arrival for the hotel, and it's a big arrival in the city. So, everybody, there's king cake at the front desk for when you arrive, and guests are getting beads and welcome letters and explanations of what parades are when and what offerings are out there. And of course, security and safety are paramount in our mind as well. So, I've been here in New Orleans 31 years. So been through a few of these Mardi Gras, and every one of them is fun and engaging, and tests our ability to make sure our guests have not only a memorable time, but as you pointed out, an authentic French Quarter experience and Mardi Gras experience.
Yeah, it sure was. All right, guys. So I'm excited to come down there for Jazz Fest. A lot of people are going to be wanting to come down there for Jazz Fest, but heck, man, everything is sold out except for what you're offering right now with the Mista Big Stuff package. Jason, why don't you share a little bit with me about what the compelling offer that this package has and why people should come on down to the 50th celebration of Jazz Fest?
Yeah, absolutely, Glenn. So, when we started to put these packages together, the Rolling Stones appearing at the 50th anniversary of the fest this year was probably the worst kept secret in New Orleans over the past 6 months.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We actually had a joke a couple of years ago that we were going to wrap the Rolling Stones in bubble wrap and save them for the 50th anniversary. But in addition to, those guys coming down and playing, you have Al Green making some of his first live appearances in 7 or 8 years. Gladys Knight, Taj Mahal, nearing the end of a very illustrious blues career. You have more contemporary music. You have Colombian musician J Balvin, who is equivalent to the Drake of Latin America. You have what I believe is going to be one of the highlights that people will be leaving Jazz Fest and talking about is a musician from Niger named Mdu Mokhtar. Learned how to play guitar on a homemade goat intestine guitar. Is from a Tuareg tribe in Niger, and he will be making his Jazz Fest debut. You have tons of local musicians. Anders Osborne, local favorite, is getting ready to release a new album to coincide with Jazz Fest called Buddha and Blues. Mm-hmm. Just tons of local talent. Devell Crawford, Marsha Ball playing piano, Soul Rebels, Corey Henry and the Treme Funktet making their Jazz Fest debut. Louisiana favorites, Lost Bayou Ramblers, Samantha Fish. The list goes on. And one of the best things about Jazz Fest is that you can come down here to the festival with no expectations, and you can drift to one of the smaller stages, like the Fado stage, which traditionally has a lot of the folk and bluegrass, Zydeco music. And you don't have to go to the big stages to see unbelievable music. This is a festival that's got 1,500 performers this year, in addition to, several hundred evening shows.
Wow.
As we like to call it, the late nights. So, there really is something for everyone. And, it's important to note that American festivals don't often make it to 50 years. George Wein, when he founded Jazz Fest down here with longtime fest producer Quint Davis, was coming off the success of the Newport Folk Festival, which I'll remind you is where Bob Dylan first plugged in an electric guitar.
Yeah.
And kicked off what we now know as a mid 60s culture of rock and roll here. So we're just really, really excited. We started putting these packages together about 3 months ago in anticipation of the Rolling Stones driving a sellout. And, traditionally VIP packages down here are in fairly small quantity. And a lot of folks that have been coming to the festival for 10, 15, 20 years, make their plans well in advance and buy, buy their hotel rooms and buy their plane tickets in advance. And so when we came, together with the Jung to put these packages together, we were looking for the best lodging experience for our guests. And we are pairing it with the best service offerings that Joieful has, 24/7 access to a concierge to help with, dinner reservations and late night shows, luxury transportation included, breakfast at the hotel each morning for when you head out to the fest, point-to-point transportation to the fest, all kinds of surprises. And we really just wanted to elevate this for the 50th. And, we've got right around 100 of these packages left, and we're very excited to give people the opportunity to come down here We translated the flyers into 5 languages, recognizing that New Orleans is seeing a huge influx of international visitors. And we're really, really excited. We price these things right. We are getting a good response to them. And we expect that, some national media and some other distribution partners are going to, help us along the way. But we really appreciate the Jung, and we really appreciate New Orleans and Company and the New Orleans Tourism and Marketing Corporation and all of our partners that are helping us get the word out there.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, what I really like about what you're saying in regards to these packages are that it's removing the friction from the event. It's just simple. You almost can turn your entire brain off and allow everything to happen for you. Now, to me, that's a perfect way in order to have an experience such as this. I don't want to have to plan too much. I don't want to have to think too much. I don't have to worry too much about how I'm going to be getting back and forth. And you've got all of those things covered, which I think is really excellent. I want to know from each one of you your number one tip for not just surviving Jazz Fest, but for really maximizing the experience while you're at Jazz Fest in New Orleans.
Get in line and go get a bowl of crawfish Monica. What a lot of people know, and it's not a big secret, but Jazz Fest to some extent is probably America's best food festival that also has music. You're talking about longtime vendors, some of whom have been serving food at the festival for, 40 plus years. It is with this package and with the opportunity to come down here, the only decision you have to make is really what you're going to eat.
All right. Well, that's too much of a decision for me to make because I just want to eat it all, man. Your food down there is absolutely incredible. I just love the way that so many different cultures come together to create an original type of cuisine that's down there. All right. So who wants to give me their tip next?
This is Aaron. Staying on the food theme, mine is crawfish bread.
All right. Love it.
Well, I'm going to switch and say, at Jazz Fest, there's a lot of really interesting local artists that have displays out there and some really fun things that are cultural to look at. When you come to New Orleans, you're going to see the obvious things, the great restaurants, you're going to see the architecture, you're going to hear great music, but there's also a part that if you look a little deeper, you're going to get into the soul of the people who live here and their heritage. And it's really part of that whole Jazz Fest, which is called Jazz Fest and Heritage Festival, right? I mean, Jazz and Heritage Festival. Yeah. So, take a look deeper into what you're seeing out there.
Beautiful. I think these are all great recommendations. And if you want to inquire about these exclusive packages, you can look at joieful.com. That's JOIEFUL.com. And it's, of course, the Mista Big Stuff Experience package or Mista Big Stuff Fest Experience package that's out there. And, of course, feel free to enter the contest, which is also at joieful.com. But I will have both links to both of these opportunities in the show notes for this week's episode and up until this contest closes out. So if you haven't joined now and if you haven't subscribed yet to the newsletter, do that and be sure to enter the contest today and buy one of these great packages out there. Gentlemen, anything else that we should know today about what this opportunity has for folks out there?
Nothing other than laissez le bon temps rouler, monsieur.
I like the French. Very good. Anyone else?
No, just we're thrilled to be partnering with you, Glenn, and big fans of your program. And I'd also like to just kind of throw out, if you're a hotelier or you're a travel manager, you've been looking for the opportunity to come to New Orleans and see what is down here in the hospitality and tourism industry. This is a great weekend. Like you said, we've eliminated obstacles. Mark's got an excellent property with the Jung and an excellent staff. And this is a great opportunity for all of your folks around the country to come and visit down here and, come and check out the city and see what the city celebrated its 300th anniversary, the tricentennial last year. We got a brand new airport, the largest airport project in the nation in the last decade is opening here in May. It's a great time down in New Orleans again.
Thank you.
All right. My last thought, just wish me luck to survive this weekend's Mardi Gras, and then I'll be ready for Jazz.
Yeah, you'll have just enough time in which to recover after this weekend before Jazz Fest hits. Well, guys, I want to thank you all so much for being here today. And everybody, listen, I want you to buy these packages and go down there, because if all of us hoteliers go down there together, what an incredible experience that will be. All of us can network together. We could all find success together, and even more fun, we could all party together and get to know each other in a much better type of way. So get these packages, the Mista Big Stuff Fest Experience package. Enter the contest. All of the information is in the show notes. I want to thank everybody for listening, and we're going to be right back after this break. We're keeping it in the family today, because I don't know if you knew this, but the Jung Hotel and Residences is actually managed by Interstate Hotels and Resorts, and we've got their Chief Development Officer on board for a long-form interview. That's Mr. Greg Osteen. So stick around after this break, and we're going to be right back with more stuff from the No Vacancy podcast.
Have a question for your host, Glenn? Tweet him now at Traveling Glenn. No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, Glenn here. As you're probably aware, the extended stay market accounts for 8.6% of the U.S. lodging supply, and it's been growing steadily since 2013. So it's no wonder Red Roof invested $50 million in a renovation program to launch Hometown Studios by Red Roof. Now there's more than 50 properties open in more than 35 markets. Now is the perfect time for franchisees like you looking to get in on the extended stay segment to take a look at Hometown Studios by Red Roof. In fact, nearly 1 out of 4 hotels in the new construction pipeline are extended stay. So you really want to think about Hometown Studios by Red Roof, because each apartment-style studio, well, it offers the amenities guests want, including upgraded decor, a kitchenette with full-size refrigerator, on-site laundry facilities, free Wi-Fi, and more, all while continuing Red Roof's tradition of clean, comfortable accommodations at an unmatched value. Meanwhile, franchisees get Red Roof's significant brand awareness, seasoned management team, and richest-in-class loyalty program with more than 2.5 million members. And it just happens to be the least expensive loyalty program for owners, too. And that's in addition to the award-winning marketing department and a dedicated website based on their fastest in class with mobile-first technology. Plus, if you ask Red Roof's franchisees, they'll tell you genuine relationships, real results. It isn't just some slogan, it's how Red Roof does business. So get in on a new way for extended stay. That's right, get in on a new way to extended stay. I like that, it's pretty funny. Visit redrooffranchising.com or call 888-473-8861. That's 888-473-8861. And tell them Glenn sent you.
Back to the show. It's No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman.
And welcome back to the No Vacancy podcast. I am so excited today because I'm doing a great follow-up to a fantastic video that I had the opportunity to do at Alice. I wanted a little bit more of a longer form conversation, so I managed to get Greg Osteen of Interstate here onto the line. So, Greg, I want to be sure what your title is exactly these days. What is it, Chief Global Domination Officer, did we agree upon?
Well, that would be too big to fit on a card, so let's just go with Chief Development Officer.
Okay, excellent. So I'm really happy to have you here today and talk about what you're thinking about over at Interstate. But I think the best place to start, and I always like to get into some of these longer form interviews in this kind of way, is how did you wind up getting to be in this type of business? Because, when I was a kid, I thought about being an astronaut, brain surgeon, that sort of stuff. It never occurred to me that, a franchise or a, management company, sales type development officer was even an opportunity. So where does that come from in your world?
Well, that's a great question. I would say it started when I did not get drafted in the NBA. So that's a joke.
Just so you know, Greg is a little bit taller than me. I am a mere mortal height, and you are reaching for the stars there.
So unlike a lot of people in my position or in similar positions, I did not go to Cornell. Or UNLV or Michigan State.
Yeah, I didn't even bother applying to a place like Cornell because they would have just laughed at me. They'd still be laughing now, 25 years later.
Yeah, hotels were. I went to Georgia Tech and started in architecture and ended up getting an MBA in finance and real estate.
Oh, wow.
I never thought that I wanted to go into hotels, right? And
Yeah.
so it wasn't something that was a career aspiration when I started, but as I started working in on hotels as part of workouts and loans and just basically projects like the reorganization of Cervico 30 years ago when they filed bankruptcy, it allowed me to see just how unique hotels were. So that's the short version is I started by doing workouts and learning from other people's mistakes, and then turned that into a career in development and lending, and it all led to where I am now.
Yeah, excellent. So what was it like getting the opportunity to come over to Interstate? Because it's such a unique and interesting company. But maybe before you explain that, let's talk a little bit about what the company is all about. It's the world's largest hotel management company out there right now, and a magnitude of size bigger than the next 5 or 6 or so I think combined that are out there. So interesting idea, and something that's relatively new. This company has been growing by leaps and bounds over the last 5 years in particular. So what is it that attracted you to Interstate, other than what I just said? Because that sounds pretty compelling right there.
Well, and that was a big part of it, right? The fact that we are on a growth trajectory, right? Mike Dienemeyer came here to grow the company, to reposition the company, to evolve it. We added 150 hotels last year, which was a record. We'll add more than that this year. Yeah, that's larger than many of our competitors. Like you said, we added more last year than most of our competitors have in their portfolio. And for me, sorry, go ahead.
Please continue. I want to hear the rest of your answer, but I'm just getting so excited to learn more about what's going on.
Well, for me, coming from a background at Starwood, where we grew, I started at Westin when we had 70 hotels, and we bought Starwood, and then we had 700, and then we grew to more than 1,000. Or GE Capital, where everything at GE was in large numbers because we were global. And so to look at Interstate and say, okay, there used to be 200 and then it was 300, and now we're over 500 hotels and growing. We're in 12 countries around the world. So we truly do have a global reach, and size matters. If you're a hotel owner, we can bring certain things to you in terms of cost savings in your benefits, in your property insurance, and even in taxes, credit card commissions, and purchasing. There are certain things that we can offer that smaller competitors can't because they just aren't as big as we are. So it was a very compelling reason for coming here.
Yeah, it sure was. It's amazing that you're added 150 last year, and you'll do a huge amount this year as well. Because most of the management companies out there, they feel that sweet spot seems to be in an area of, 30 to 50 to 60 hotels, that sort of universe. And you guys are just such a magnitude bigger. Share a little bit about how you feel that those efficiencies and stuff can actually deliver results to the bottom line for ownership entities.
So here's an example. We took over a full-service upscale hotel in December of last year from a smaller company. And the day we showed up, just by taking over the hotel, we saved the owner over $300,000 a year.
Holy
cow. So that was a lot of that was it was a big number, a huge number, and that's an annual number in workman's comp and benefits, other benefits, in property insurance and credit card commissions and purchasing, even in property taxes, because we were able to basically renegotiate some where the other owner really didn't have, or the other management company really didn't have that expertise, right? They were more of a regional. They were hired by the owner because they had other properties kind of in that part of the world. And that's a tremendous opportunity for us to go out and find more properties like that before we even start performing. Of course we want to grow the top line, and of course we want to reduce expenses and operate better. But if we can just show up and save you $300,000 just through our systems, that's a great start.
Wow. Yeah, it sure is. So, and all of those systems are achieved based on stuff that you're already bringing to the table. So it's kind of like, I would say, the first wave of stuff that you do. Is that a fair assessment?
That's right. That's before we even get in and make changes to the sales plan or the go-to-market strategy, or before we do anything to the staffing. That's literally just by plugging in our systems. Now, every hotel is not going to be the same, right? Because other hotels will have similar benefits depending on who's managing them. But it is a good story and something that we think we can replicate across the country.
Yeah, and across the world, as a matter of fact, right?
And across the world, that's
yeah,
right.
Right. So, how important is outside the United States to Interstate's overall strategy?
Oh, to me, it represents the largest opportunity, right? We have 89 hotels in Europe and Asia, primarily Central Europe and the UK. We're in 12 countries, so
right.
11 over there. We have 59 of those in the UK, so we've got a great platform there to grow from. But we'll be opening one soon in France near Orly Airport, and we have 12 in Russia. We have one in Kazakhstan, one in Uzbekistan. I want to grow. I'll be there in 2 weeks. I'll be at the IHIS conference in Berlin the first week in March, and I want to establish a even bigger platform there again for global domination.
Right.
I just think there's a lot of opportunity there. The market's very different. It's a lot more fractured. We don't have the same type of competition over there, but it's a great opportunity for us to grow, and then we have a lot of green space there.
Yeah, you certainly do. And and you seem to be really, really focused on that. I don't know a lot of other American companies. I don't think I can name one off the top of my head that's really making such a concerted effort such as you folks are. Not to say that there aren't out there if you guys are listening and you're one of those companies that are in there, but Interstate seems to have already made great inroads in that it's entered my consciousness over there. So, Greg, so much opportunity over there. You're right, because it always seems that as far as like we like to say that the hotel industry is like far behind in technology and that sort of issue, it seems like the hotel industry in Europe is far behind a lot of the systems and the franchising and all of the stuff that we've grown very accustomed to over the past 15 years, and they're only waking up now to this future opportunity. So for a guy like you, that must be pretty exciting to have to not only have the United States, but then the whole wild world is like kind of open up to opportunity for you. How exciting is that for you?
Oh, it's very exciting, and you're exactly right. I mean, when you go to the UK or some of the other markets where a lot of the hotels are owner-operators or very, very small operators that have 3 or 4 properties, right? And similar to how it used to be in the U.S., the management company was selected largely because they were nearby, right? They were regional, they were available, they had another property that was similar, but they really didn't bring a lot more than being local and being operators, whereas we can bring all the same systems and benefits and IT and technology and best practices. And because of our pan-European strategy to be in multiple countries across Europe, we can attract the best talent, right? So if you're a rising star and you want to work for a company that will provide you opportunities to move around, whether it's in the States or across Europe, that's what Interstate can offer that our smaller competitors can't, right? Because if you're looking for a career trajectory and you want to move up and around, that's something we can offer to get the best talent to come join us.
Right. That's a great point of view. Now, I would say that some of my smaller management company friends would say, but a smaller company is a quicker career path, and they'll like you a little bit more. How do you see it as really just being better to be with a bigger organization with the opportunities that are available for people? How do you make yourself known, I should say, if you're a younger person trying to come up in a big organization such as yours?
Yeah, it depends on what you want to do and how you want to get there, right?
Right.
You can be a big fish in a small pond and sort of create your own opportunities as you move up, or you can start off as a smaller fish in a big pond with a company like Interstate that has a greater number of opportunities in different types as well. I mean, we're about 50% select service and 50% full service. We have resorts, we have boutiques, we have 52 brands. Mm-hmm. So if you want to have a broad and diverse career experience, that's something that we can offer that, say, the smaller ones probably can't. Now, That also means, of course, that you'll be moving around a lot. So it really just depends on what you want from your career. I have friends that work at smaller ones because they don't want to move around a lot, and that's fine too. But we have the opportunity really there are no limits, because if I'm doing my job, then that means I'm continuing to add to the funnel.
Right.
And that's even more opportunities for people that join us to grow.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. And I speak to a lot, and I'm featuring them more and more often here on the No Vacancy podcast. A lot of these GMs at really top quality properties, and they all tell me the same story, Greg, that they go from place to place to place every 2, 3, 4 years all around the world to have different experiences, because that's what they love. And they also love the opportunity of being able to move up within different organizations and take on more increasing challenges.
No, I think that's right. And that's the kind of people that we're looking for. I mean, I had a friend at another company who said that his daughter was 10 years old the first time they weren't living in a hotel. It's the first time they had a house, because
Wow.
they were moving every 2 years. And she went over to the phone and said, "Where's the room service button?" So, I mean,
that's really funny. But very, very true about what a hotelier's life really is all about. So, what's it like then? I'm curious to go back to the Europe and Asia part. Interstate is a big name, but it might not necessarily be as well known there. But of course, you've got this big pedigree of properties behind you. So, does that make your job easier when you go to Europe and Asia? How do you find all of these deals that are out there? What's it like that you have to do differently in other parts of the world than here in the United States, where you walk into a conference and absolutely everybody knows who you are?
That's a great question. And again, I'll be at a conference the first week in March, and it's very different because, Interstate doesn't translate in every language, right? Because
right.
They don't have Interstate.
Yeah,
so
it's a great point right there.
So what we really rely on is what we have. We can go into a country with a white label and create our own name, right? I believe and this is before my time, but we were in Asia, we had to change the name to something that meant something because Interstate didn't translate in China. Mm-hmm. But as we go into these countries, what we're able really to sell is less about the name and the history and more about the relevant experience, right? So if you have an Aloft or an Indigo or a Hampton Inn and you're not that familiar with the brand, we are, right? And we can say, well,
right.
We have this many Hamptons in the U.S. and this many in the UK, and here's how we can help you, because a lot of the growth over there are with U.S.-based brands. So that's a big help for us, as well as the boutique hotels where we can say, okay, well, we know this market, this region, we have this hotel. But we also work with a lot of multi-unit owners, right? So it's the ability for us to go in and identify who are the players in this market, who's the biggest player in Germany, who's a big player in the Netherlands. How do we work together to help them build out their portfolio, right? We bring the management services, they bring the development expertise and the money. They'll own, we'll manage. So we have that going on simultaneously with people who are looking for the singles and the doubles, the one-offs, the one here, two there, three there, while we're also doing sort of the M&A and the portfolio strategy. So you put those together and it gives us a nice platform to grow. But you're exactly right. It's not like walking in at Alice and everybody and everybody knows you. Right.
Yeah, and I'm curious because you worked for so many years to achieve that ability to walk into the room, and we all have. It took, I don't know, the first 10 years of my career before people started to even recognize who I was. Right, it was a lot of hard work getting people to know who you are and to flip the coin that they just that they recognize you and come up and say hello to you. So when you're walking into all of these new markets, you probably have to change the way that you start conversations, your strategy that you approach them with. So that must be an interesting learning experience for you as you go into new markets around the world.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, we have 12 properties in Russia. We've been in Moscow since 1995, but I've never been to Moscow.
Right.
So I've got to have that story, right? When I go there and I say, okay, here's what we can do, I've got to be able to tell that story, and then it's more about the company and less about me. Whereas here, I know everybody, like you said, you go to these things for 10 years and after a while you start seeing the same people, right? And so
yeah.
I know my counterparts at Hilton and Hyatt and Marriott and IHG and Choice.
Well, and you've all worked together before because you all switched companies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We all work together.
Yeah.
Every single one of us, we all work together. and it's very different over there, right? And there you just it's a different story.
Right. So that's like a real fascinating thing that, it's almost like you're a fish out of water and you have to kind of change your whole approach to thing. And I guess that's actually a pretty good thing because it keeps you sharp as a professional that's out there in the world, right?
It does. And I spent about 4 years in Europe with GE in most of the major markets doing other types of real estate, other commercial, but not hotel.
Right.
And my whole story was just in each market what GE had, what office buildings did we have, what retail did we have, what multifamily, because nobody knew me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was just a guy carrying the GE card. And so it is a different story. You have to, and you better have a good story, right? Because
right.
It makes it a lot harder if you don't have a good story. So, that kudos to our operating team across Europe that we'll be able to say, not only have we been in Moscow since 95, but here's what we've done year over year, and here's how we perform, and here are the brands that we work with, and here's the story that we represent.
Right.
So it's a unique challenge, but it keeps you on your toes.
Now, one of the observations that I've made, I've been very fortunate in the last couple of years. I'm doing a lot more travel around the world, and one of the observations that I've seen is in the United States, folks seem to be wanting to do more independent and boutique and lifestyle properties, whatever you want to call them, non-branded hotels. In Europe and Asia, they seem to be moving the other way. A lot more properties seem to be going more towards being part of a family of franchised brands. Are you seeing the same thing? And how does that inform how you want to operate when you're working in different markets around the world?
I am seeing the same thing. And as I'm sure you've observed in your travel, the brands have a different feel in different markets, right? If you think about what a Radisson Blu in Europe looks like versus, the handful that they have here, or what a Hyatt in Hong Kong looks like versus a Hyatt here. A lot of the properties in Asia are just over the top with granite and marble and the scale of it all.
Sky lobbies on the 90th floor, that kind of stuff.
Exactly, and huge buffets with, the breakfast buffet has about 40 different fruits.
The Chinese breakfast buffets are the largest things that I've ever seen, and you go to a select service hotel there. If you were doing their counterpart in the United States, you might get a muffin, but overseas you get like acres of food, and that's a slight exaggeration, right?
No, but you're right. A muffin or some oatmeal, right? Versus a smoothie made with fruits that some of which I'd never seen before, except in magazines, right?
Yeah.
Well, sure, grind that up and add some yogurt and I'll drink it.
Yeah. It's so interesting. So I want to talk a little bit about some notable hotels that you've been adding to the system and how maybe it's changing the complexity of what you do and following guest trends. But before that, I did want to mention to all of the listeners out there that one of Interstate's hotels is actually partnering here with the No Vacancy podcast and the company Joieful to offer people 2 free tickets, a chance for an all-expense-paid trip to New Orleans Jazz Fest, thanks to Joieful and the Jung Hotel and in New Orleans. So, Greg, I'm hoping that you'll enter that contest. And the Jung Hotel is a great hotel, and I'm really excited to have them as a partner. And I love what they do. It's an old historic property that's kind of reinvented themselves recently for the modern era, and really great approach. I don't want to, ask you any specific questions about that hotel because you may not be prepared on it, but I think it's very symbolic of some of the projects that you folks are working on.
Well, I love that hotel. That's where I stay when I go to New Orleans.
Oh, cool. All right, so you do know it. I didn't want to ambush you because you have so many hotels. I could name one. You're like, I've never been there.
Oh, I love what the property. It's new, but it's old, right? And so the rooms are great.
I think it was opened in 1904, and it was like a home to early jazz and all that kind of cool stuff.
Well, and it's close enough to walk to the places you want to go to, but far enough away that when you're done with that, you leave it behind. Because some people when they go to New Orleans, you know what I mean, right?
Why do you think I can't stop laughing, Greg?
Street,
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want the party following you back to your hotel, right? So it's just far enough that it's not that loud after hours. I like it a lot. It's very comfortable too.
Right. All right. So we've got about 5 minutes left here because I know we both have a hard stop on today's conversation. But Greg, where do you see Interstate going in the future, and how does properties such as the Jung and other great independent hotels kind of reflect your overall philosophy of doing business in the future of the hospitality industry in general?
Well, I think we'll have some additional opportunities closer to home, meaning, expanding throughout North America, not just in the U.S., but, probably north and south of us. We'll have some other higher-end properties, and we have one in Manhattan that I can't say which one, but we'll be taking over soon. That's really at a much higher end than some of the things we have in Manhattan now. We'll continue to grow across Europe. We might return to Asia. We were in China before, but not in the scale that we were in Europe today. So I think there's tremendous opportunity out there for us. We'll continue to refine our operating model, continue to find ways to grow the top line while reducing expenses so that we can continue to bring value to people so that, for a lot of people, size is not what they want because the perception is that if you're one of 500 or one of 1,000, you won't be that important to us. But we will continue to grow our operational staff so that you will be, right? We have little entities within. So we have regions where we have one person who might be responsible for 20 select service hotels. Well, that's larger than some of our competitors. And that
Right.
person is like the CEO of that division. So you'll get the attention, whether you're one of 500 or one of 20, you'll get that same personal attention from an expert who knows their properties quite well. So that's a long answer, but I think there is a lot of white space out there for us to grow into.
What are you most excited about in 2019 and beyond? It doesn't have to be specifically growing the company.
Well, for me, I'd always like to raise the bar, right? And I mentioned last year we added 150 hotels, which was a record. Well, I want to do more, right? I want each quarter to be bigger than the quarter before and each year to be bigger than the year before. Just, I don't know. That's how I keep score.
Right. Yeah, we sure do. Well, I want to wish you a lot of luck in Europe when you're headed to that conference, the IHIF conference that's coming up. So enjoy that and lots of good luck. And before we wrap up, I got to give you the opportunity, Greg, for a good shameless plug. So anything you want, how we can find you, and any type of ad that you want, or maybe you just want to give a good recipe for some good gumbo down in New Orleans.
I would say our website is the best place to go, right? We're constantly updating it. We've got the biographies of our key executives on there. We've got some of our newest all of our properties are on there, but we highlight some of our newest ones. We have case studies. So there's my plug. Go to our website.
Beautiful. I love it. And I'll tell everyone what the website is, just in case they don't know it.
Yeah, it's obviously www.interstatehotels.com.
All right,
Just one word, Interstate Hotels.
All right, check out Interstate Hotels. And Greg, I want to thank you so much for being here today. And to all of our listeners, I want to thank you guys for being here. Enter that contest. Let's have a great time in New Orleans together. And we'll see you all next week. That is, unless I just decide to give this all up and go cook some gumbo in New Orleans. See you guys later.
Thanks so much for listening to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman, online at rouse.media, on Twitter at Traveling Glenn, and on Facebook.com/Glenn.Hausman. We'll catch you next time.